Yo, up NBA world, it's the one and only Legend of Winning, aka Hello, and the All-Star Starters have just been revealed. A couple of people are upset about the whole thing because I don't know. Actually, I have no idea why. Why do y'all care this much about All-Star Starters? I don't really know. Not only that, though, we also got the media breakdown as well as the player voting breakdown. And also, I'm going to give you all the rest of the players that I believe should be an All-Star this season. But before we get into all that, let's look at these starters. In the Western Conference, we have LeBron James, Stephen Curry, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, and Zion Williamson. Personally speaking, I have no problem with this at all. I'm happy that Zion got over AD, even though I am a Laker fan myself. I still believe that Zion deserves it over AD. The Pelicans are performing way better than people anticipated. He deserves to have a spot in the starter, especially as an all-star. But again, I don't really care. But that is the Western Conference. And out East, where people got upset, we have Giannis, Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and Donovan Mitchell. First and foremost, congratulations to all these young gentlemen. Playing great. Well-deserved, should be all-stars. But the biggest reason why I want to make this video is because, you know, the debacle that is NBA Twitter, that is overreacting and acting as if like they care about Joel Embiid not being a starter. Look, I understand this is another great example to why we should not have positions when it comes to all-star selections or even all-NBAs. When it comes to Joel Embiid, because of the era that he plays in, he's probably going to miss out on a lot of accolades. And I think the biggest one actually is more have to do with the All-NBA selections. He more than likely will never, and I do mean never, be a first-team All-NBA performer. Unfortunately, playing in a league with Luka, it does that to you. But unfortunately, that's been NBA history. Is it something they should change? Yes, I've been advocating for this for a very long time. But even when it comes to the change that they made for the All-Star game, somebody's always going to get snubbed. This is the reason why we use other things to measure how great certain players are. So even though, yes, the All-Star Starters, you might care about it right now, I promise you 5 years from now, no one is going to care who the All-Star Starters were. It's just not going to matter. In terms of All-NBA performers, I try to tell people this all the time. The All-NBA is not a top 15 list. Stop using it that way. You're much better off using the MVP race to get a better understanding of who the top, 5 to 7 players were. That's a much better identification of what was going on a year-to-year basis. But in terms of, All-Star starters, personally, I don't care. I don't care. So when you look at the voting when it comes to the fans, I actually think the fans low-key got it right, except for AD. In the front court, when the Western Conference, they have LeBron, Jokic, and AD. Again, I think Zion should be over AD. And then when it comes to the guards, Steph and Luka, I think they got that right. Then when it comes to the Eastern Conference, they have Giannis, KD, and Tatum. And even though I think Embiid plays at a starter level, I still think they got that right. When people sit here and say that Embiid should be a starter, who are you all taking out? I think KD was performing better, was more impactful in his team's success, and is playing more games up until this moment. Tatum is the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference on the best team, arguably in the entire NBA, and he's the best player on that team, so he should be playing. And I think Giannis is just a better player than Embiid through and through. So even for those who are complaining about this, who are you going to take out to put Embiid over? And even then, you're still going to sit here and say that someone was snubbed. So what's the complaint? And then finally, we have Kyrie and Donovan Mitchell for the fans. Again, I actually think the fans got it right except for AD. Then when it goes to the media and player voting, it's very similar to what we see from the fans. It was Jokic, LeBron, and Zion in that order. Then when it comes to the media, it was Jokic, LeBron, and actually Sabonis. And shout out to Sabonis, because I do believe he should be an all-star. Who knows, especially because he's playing alongside De'Aaron Fox. Zion, for the most part, when he is playing, he's been doing without Brandon Ingram. But still, shout out. I actually think, the media showing Sabonis some love. Kudos to the media. I do love that. And also, if you're a King fan out there, that more than likely means Sabonis, low-key, might make an All-NBA selection. Because if the media is going to give him the third best front court player, after Jokic and Embiid, the third All-NBA selection is kind of up in the air right now. Rudy Gobert is on a losing team. Sabonis and the Kings, they're improving. I don't know. That actually might be, shout out to my Kings fans. They might actually have an All-NBA performer on their roster this year. Actually, he is an All-NBA performer, regardless if he gets the selection or not. Moving on, though, when it comes to the guards, the fans had Luka and Curry, and so did the media and players. So more or less outside of Zion and AD, Yo, the fans got it right this year. Congrats to the fans. They've been doing a damn thing. But we're not here for all that, or we're kind of sort of pseudo here for that. Two things. A, they're actually changing the player selection this year. Normally they go on TNT and they pick the players, like pick who's on the team. This year they're not doing that. They're doing it, from my understanding, on the court, All-Star Weekend, recess style. Man, bro, that's hella content. Hella content. More than likely, I will be streaming that on playback. Check me out over there. I'll put the link in the description. That will be hella content, and I'll remind you all when we get closer to that. However, how does the rest of the All-Star lineup fare out? In my opinion, this is who I have. Please let me know in the comment section if I'm wrong. Normally, I'm not wrong, though, except for the Kings. I was just completely wrong with the Kings. And the Brooklyn Nets. Kind of wrong on them as well. But outside those two things, I'm normally not wrong. All right, so out east, for my backups, I have Jaylen Brown and Tyrese Halliburton for my two backup guards. I think fairly understandable and explainable. Jaylen Brown, he should be rewarded for being on the best team in the NBA. He's playing great, putting up great numbers, very impactful, all-star caliber player. No more, no less. I think that's understandable. After that, Tyrese Halliburton, very, very big surprise for the Indiana Pacers to still be competing the way that they're competing. The huge reason for that has to do with Tyrese putting up really solid numbers. I think having him as a backup guard makes a lot of sense. Then when it comes to my backup front court players, we have Julius Randle, Bam Adebayo, and of course, Joel Embiid. Embiid is self-explanatory. Don't really think I have to go into that much explanation. When it comes to Randle, sneaky, surprisingly good, especially over the past like 20, 25 games. He's doing his damn thing. He's playing amazing, putting up much better numbers, and the Knicks are slightly better than I think a lot of people, including myself, anticipated. Then when it comes to Bam, Bam or Jimmy could go kind of back and forth on this. I personally would pick Bam over Jimmy. I think Bam's input on this team defensively slightly underrated, but if you want to put Jimmy in there, that's fine. So yeah, either one of them can go, but I'm leaning more so towards Bam. And then when it comes to my wild card players, oh man, this is tough. Okay, so I have Pascal Siakam. Even though the Raptors are losing, he's missing games. He's just been playing way too good this season for me to overlook him. He's a career high in assists, if I'm not mistaken. He's basically playing a 5. Defensively, he has been spectacular when he has been playing. And without a doubt, he's been very impactful to the wins in which the Raptors team have been able to earn throughout the season. I think he deserves it. Up next, we have James Harden. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I hear a lot of people who are just stat watching Harden's numbers and they don't really understand the impact. He's taken a step back offensively, really allowed Embiid to continue to flourish and grow. I think he's playing great, and I also think Philly should be rewarded with 2 All-Stars. Oh man, the last player. I'm going to give it to Trae Young. Trae Young, still numbers are amazing, still very enjoyable to watch, still one of the better players in the NBA. But this is a down year for him. In Atlanta, is slightly worse than a lot of people expected. Yeah, I'm very hesitant to do that, but I think he's still an all-star caliber player. If you want to take Trae Young out just because of the shenanigans, and FYI, the coaches might actually do that, so keep on the lookout for that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Trae Young doesn't make it just because of his shenanigans. And with Nate McMillan, coaches normally support other coaches, and they probably lean more towards Jared Allen, but still, I think Trae Young is going to get it. Moving on out west, some of these are pretty self-explanatory. My backcourt backups are Ja Morant and De'Aaron Fox. Yo, shout out to Ja. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. The best player on the second best team, putting up all-star numbers out west. And then we have De'Aaron Fox. Yo, I think D Fox has been amazing as well. Also putting all-star numbers out in the Western Conference and the third best team out west. They're way better than people anticipated by a fairly wide margin. They should be rewarded with that. And coming on my front court is his running mate, Domantas Sabonis. Once more, Sabonis putting up miraculous numbers, great playmaking from a front court player. Once more, I think he might be third team All-NBA this season. Great season, great year for the Sacramento Kings. They should be rewarded, and yes, they should be rewarded with 2 All-Stars this year because they have 2 All-Star caliber players. Moving on, we have Paul George. I was a bit hesitant on this because of the amount of games he's played. But the Clippers, I still cannot deny they're the top 5 seed in the Western Conference. PG is putting up all-star numbers. He's still playing great. He's missed a handful of games, but when he is playing up to an all-star standard, and I cannot deny that. Now, the next player, I'm going to give it to Lauri Markkanen. People might not want to hear that, bro, but Lauri has been balling. 25 point per game score, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, shooting splits of 52, 43, 87. He has been great from start to finish. Helped this Utah Jazz team not tank, even though they want to tank. Hopefully he's on another ball club because, Utah's really upped his value in the trade market. I like Larry Markkinen. I think he deserves it, and he's been playing fantastic, and more importantly, he's been playing games. So I think that's the reason why I'm gonna give it to Larry. Now, here comes my wild card players. SGA, pretty understandable, pretty explainable. I know the team is losing, but still putting up miraculous, historic, great numbers for somebody his age. 30-point score, got out there facilitating, shot creating on his own. I also think he'll be a fun watch in the All-Star game. Damian Lillard is another player. Fun watch, great player. Again, I know they're losing, but the problem with the Western Conference, before I even continue to go on, a lot of these teams, they've been dealing with injuries all year long. Shout out to B.I. if he was healthy. I would have put him in here. If Wiggins was healthy, if Wiggins had played more games, I might have actually put him in there as well. Then you have Minnesota, who's just underwhelming, so I'm not going to put anybody on there. So keep all that in mind, because when it comes to this last player, man, this is tough for me. So the last wild card to me went between two players, Anthony Davis and Devin Booker. Now, I think they're probably going to give it to AD, and I'm going to lean more AD just because AD is healthy now, and D-Book is still dealing with injuries. Also, both of them has missed a lot of games. Both of their teams have been underwhelming. However, to be fair to D-Book, when he is playing, they're actually a really good ball club, or at least better than what their record shows. So I will give, some break to D-Book, but when AD is playing, he's like a top 10 player in the NBA, very clearly. Borderline top 7, if not top 7, when he is healthy. He's missed a lot of games, so that kind of, I can't understand. Maybe this is my Laker bias. Who knows, right? But AD, when he is playing, he's spectacular, amazing, phenomenal, all those things, right? On both sides of the floor, he's just a better player. And in my opinion, I think that's why I'm going to lean more towards AD. And on top of the fact that D-Book is dealing with injury. So that's why I'm going to lean more AD than D-Book. But if you want to put D-Book over him, I have no problem with that whatsoever. And whichever one you decide not to pick, obviously would be the snub for the Western Conference. But hey, those are my all-star teams on the screen right now. Y'all let me know in the comment section below, did I miss anybody? Am I bugging? Also, what is your thoughts on the whole removing positions? I think this is an ongoing conversation we have every single year. Because of that, somebody will get snubbed. But at the end of the day, dog, the league is so talented that we're always going to have 2 or 3 players snubbed. Even if we just removed positions, players will not make the all-star team just because that's how talented the league is right now. So I love the way the league is panning out. I love the way this season is going. I really, really do love it. And until next time, I'll see you all later. Peace.